This is a conversation with RJ Lokesh Dharmani. He is a radio presenter, co-host of the popular Drive Master Go-Go on City 1016. He's also the host of Loki's Bollywood Quiz Night. He's also a food blogger and a film critic. In this conversation, we discuss the magic of radio, his journey falling in love with radio. We then dive into a Radio 101 masterclass, every single thing you need to know to become a successful radio presenter. We also dive into the business of radio. How does a radio station make money? What's the science behind it? And then we explore the future of radio. This is no time. If you like what you see, then do hit subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify, rate 5 stars in Apple Podcasts. This project takes a lot of my time, money, and effort. It's now my full-time job. So please consider supporting it with donations to Patreon or Anchor. You can join as a member on YouTube. You can buy super thanks on YouTube. Or you can also leave gifts on Instagram Reels. If not through financial support, then do consider sharing these episodes, leaving your likes and comments. All forms of engagement, they really go a long way. For other forms of love and support, you can follow this channel on Instagram or Twitter, or follow me personally. And now, aap sun rahe AJ the RJ, it's no time.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Amin Sayani had once shared a story about how a blind man wrote him a letter. And he said, he told me he used to listen every week with his daughter, and that through my descriptions and music, he was able to see the songs and feel less blind. That letter made me cry. That was when I knew this was not just entertainment. This was companionship. एक दूसरे इंटरव्यू में उन्होंने कहा था, radio is the most intimate medium. It goes directly from my heart to your heart. There's no visual to distract you, just the voice, the feeling, and the imagination it sparks. So let's start with this.
Whoa, we're starting heavy.
We're going to start
right
heavy.
in the beginning. I like that.
What does radio mean to you? Is it entertainment? Is it companionship, in the words of Mr. Sayani? Is it just another job? Is it an art form? What does radio stand for? What does it represent in your eyes?
You know, it's interesting that you asked me this question because as a listener, I would have a different point of view when I used to listen to radio. Now, when I'm on this side of the mic, I think I will have like a different, especially when I've been on this side of the mic for like last 28 years. I look at radio very, very differently. As a kid, I remember I used to be completely fascinated about how these voices are coming, like where they're coming from, how these people have like kind of fit themselves into this small, tiny radio set and all that. So it used to be really fascinating. As a radio presenter in the last 28 years, you know, I feel radio just connects, man. It just connects. And when I say connects, it's not only just companionship and all that. It lands people jobs. It saves lives. I've had personal experiences where people have shared such personal stories with me about how radio has been such an important part of their lives. So to give you a short answer, radio can be life-changing, yes. Radio is life-changing. It goes much, much beyond just entertainment or just a Sheila Ki Jawani on the radio.
When you talk about saving lives, so I had interviewed Roshan Abbas on this show many years ago, and he had shared this story once when he was on air. This lady called him who was just about to jump. And she said, don't try to tell me anything because you radio presenters only lie all the time. So he said, anything I say right now will be construed as a lie. So I'm going to ask the listeners to send in messages and call in. And so many listeners poured in messages of support that the lady decided not to jump. And then Roshan Abbas at the end of the show said, I'm not going to say anything else because again, that might be a lie. So I'm just going to quote Ernest Hemingway and say the world breaks everyone, but afterwards, the ones it breaks are stronger in those places. And it was a testament. Your own co-host, RJ Meghna, who was on the show as well, she shared a story about how I think a boy called her once who wanted to end his life, and she, in a way, consoled him or just gave him some words of upliftment, and he decided not to take his life. So radio can definitely save lives.
It's interesting how so many RJs have had interesting stories about saving lives. In fact, I competed 28 years in the month of May on radio, and I actually, it's so funny. I was rummaging through all the old letters that I've received. I used to work for All India Radio back in the day in Delhi. And I used to get these handwritten letters. Okay. And one of the handwritten letters, I was just like, going through all the letters and it popped out. I'm forgetting the name of the gentleman, Sandeep or Sanjeev or something. And he had written a letter where he said that he didn't speak to me anything. And it wasn't a very, I'm going to commit suicide kind of a letter. It wasn't like that. It was a very light-hearted, the tone of the letter was very sweet. I said that I don't want to sound too dramatic or anything, but you literally saved my life because, once in a while we all have these suicidal thoughts and all that. But I just heard your show and I think I had lost my father around that time. And I think I was very nonchalant about his demise. Not frivolous, but nonchalant. Like death is the part of our lives, right? It's the biggest truth of our lives. I think I must have said something similar on the same lines about losing my father and how I'm coping with that. And I think he heard that bit of the conversation on the radio. And he's like, when I heard that, suddenly I felt less suicidal and I just wanted to share that with you. So it's interesting how just a voice, a unidimensional voice on the radio can actually get people off the edge, man. That's amazing.
Did the gravity of this or the depth of this hit you when you went on air for the first time? Kaisi feeling thi when you went on air?
Yeah, the first time when I went on air, I was just a bundle of nerves. So I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know that this is going to be for the rest of my life. My first radio show was like 1998 or 1999. So no, at that point in time when I was getting into it, it was just fascination of the medium without quite knowing that this is going to last for so long, for like 3 decades. So no, I didn't know. I didn't know the gravity of it at all.
Now, 28 years later, now when you go on air, has that feeling changed over time? Are you still nervous every time?
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. Of course, the degree has kind of... Actually, no, I don't think so. I'm nervous anymore. I think I'm more excited now. Yeah, but I think that there is a slight sliver of nervous energy every time, you're trying to do something like public speaking, right? So it could be radio, it could be this podcast. I'm still, I think, slightly, no, not nervous, but yeah.
You should be.
Yeah.
Some hard questions are coming.
No, bring them on.
Yeah.
But yeah, every time I go on stage, I actually host, not to plug this in, but I host Loki's Bollywood Quiz Night every Thursday, and this happens at Indie 16. So every week it's new audience, right? There are like a new set of 100 people I'm facing every week, Thursday. And I've been doing it for like last 6 months now. And I've been doing emceeing and being on stage for like last so many years now. But even now, I feel there's a certain sense whether people are going to judge me, whether I'll be able to do it or not. So yeah, to answer your question, after 28 years, on the radio, especially, radio is home. Radio is like pretty much my playground. So I don't really feel extremely nervous. I feel really, really excited every day. I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, I think there's always a certain one tiny grain of nervous energy which is always there, which is always good, I feel. Yeah.
When you spoke about the magic of radio, you spoke about being mesmerized, captivated by these voices that were coming out of the radio. You used to rush home every day to put on Just for Kids on Times FM.
I used to.
Let's take a flashback. Let's go back to your childhood. Your mother had shared a story once where she had this dream. She had both her sons were sitting next to her, and she said, "Ek beta engineer banega, और दूसरा बेटा डॉक्टर बनेगा."
Right.
You even took biology in school.
Right.
But very quickly, you started gravitating towards radio. You even bunked school one day to go audition for All India Radio. When you look back now, why did you find radio so attractive? What was so appealing about radio that you were ready to bunk school? School bunk करके आप audition करने चले गए?
First of all, thanks for reading up, man, because I've done like so many podcasts, but people usually don't really read up so much about
I have unpaid interns who do this research for me. Not at
Take the credit. So yeah, good job. Yeah, it's true. My mother had this vision of one son becoming an engineer, the other son becoming a doctor. And I very sweetly, humbly, I was like, no, I have to fulfill my mother's dream and all that. No, not only that. I think I was also interested in medical science. So I had biology in class 11th and 12th. But then soon I realized that this is not my cup of tea at all. And Yeah, and that, see, I started doing radio when I was in school, actually. I think I was in 11th standard, 1998 or 1999. I keep forgetting the year. It's been so many years. I actually, yeah, bunked school, but I kind of legit bunked school because I was the head boy of the school. So I could just go to the principal's office saying that
Legal bunking.
Legal bunking. I said, listen, hey, I have a radio show and I need to like leave early. I said, yeah, sure, whatever. Take school's name on the radio and we are good with that.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, of course, like, radio. Okay, at that point in time, Times FM, privatization of the radio was just about to happen. At that point in time, till 1990, I would say there was only one voice we were all familiar with, with which we started our conversation with, Amin Sayani. But in mid-90s especially, Times FM used to buy slots on All India Radio. And there were all kinds of really amazing, interesting, intelligent voices that were coming out, okay? I would listen to, let's say, Cyrus Brocha. I would listen to Gaurav Kapoor. I would listen to... there was a girl called Loveleen Tandon, by the way. There was this girl called Fiza Khan, who was later known as Simran, who used to do the breakfast show on Radio City. So all these really amazing, friendly voices, they changed the way radio sounded. They made it less formal. They made it more casual. They made it more friendly. And I was like, this is so up my alley because I was quite a performer in school, especially when it comes to like debates and discussions and all that. I was a public speaker, and I was like, this is so interesting. This is something that I want to do. And I remember it was in the month of March, right after my exams on my birthday on the 20th of March, I'd gone to All India Radio without having any clue of, how the auditions happen and all that. So I just went there and I was like, hey, are the auditions happening? They said, yeah, they're happening in another 3 hours. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll come after 3 hours. I just loitered around in Connaught Place in Delhi. Went back, auditioned. There were some 70, 80 odd people. And I think I was the youngest there. And they selected top 3, top 4, and I made it. So yeah, I think there was a lot of fascination with radio to begin with. But at the same time, it was also becoming really interesting. It was not old school radio. It was a lot of intelligent, thinking, thought-provoking voices that made me think, hey, this seems interesting and I can do it.
You had many professions along the way that would have tempted you out of radio. You worked as a copywriter for Archies greeting cards. How was that? Like, did you gain any interesting insights when you were creating these greeting cards? Did it help in any way? Maybe one-liners that you can now use on radio?
I think they're all like kind of, they're always crisscrossing these kind of, professions because they're all creative professions, right? They're all coming from a very interesting space between conscious and subconscious mind. Your creativity comes from there, right? So be it your thoughts or be it delivering on radio, be it writing for Archie's greetings, very similar jobs, I would say. To answer your question, yeah, so there were lots of things I was interested in. I was interested in interior designing, I remember. I wanted to be an interior designer. I remember the course was so expensive. It was some 6 lakh or 7 lakh rupees back in the 90s. Then I was like, okay, we are a very humble middle-class family. We cannot afford this. So change of plan.
Writing was passion.
Writing, more than writing actually. More than writing, I was heavily into making greeting cards. And all kinds of like, really like those crazy pop-up cards that you open and suddenly a house emerges and all that. or I would make these really like, they have like a punchline and when you open then you have an anticlimactic punchline in those kind of greeting cards. So I used to make them all for my teachers, friends, cousins. I would post letters and greeting cards to my cousins in Bombay and Kanpur and all kinds of places. And Archies also happened pretty much like that. I just like literally landed with I read it in the newspaper that they were looking for copywriters and visualizers. Literally overnight, I stayed, or maybe 2 nights or whatever, and I made almost like 12, 13 cards. I handmade those cards. I put them in a file and I just landed for the interview.
This is the audition.
This is pretty much the audition, yeah. And so yeah, that's how I got the job. And whether writing for Archie's greetings helped, 100%, certainly yes. It was such a learning experience. That was my first corporate job. And to just understand how things work in a corporate world. It was such a learning curve, man. It was such a learning curve. It made me learn so much about myself. I was all of 18, at that point in time. I'd just done my first year of college, and then I shifted to correspondence college because I was doing a full-time job at Archies readings. And yeah, it was such a learning experience. So it definitely helped.
So it all contributes. Boon boon se nadi banti hai. So what I really want to do today is I want to dissect what it takes to become a successful radio host, radio presenter. I'm a veteran of the game. So I want to bombard you with all the questions I have. Let's indulge in a thought experiment. Let's say I want to become a radio host. And what I want to do is I want to dissect 0 to 100 every single thing that goes into becoming a successful host.
Sure.
I want to hire you as my mentor for the next 15-20 minutes.
Sure.
Are you up for the challenge?
100%.
Great. Great, your answer is yes. क्योंकि अगर आपने नहीं बोला होता तो interview खत्म हो जाता. Pretty awkward. Okay, let's do it. Let's start with natural talent. Is it true that if you're a certain type of personality, then you're more suitable for radio? That if you have certain traits, or if there's if you have a certain trait, or if you're naturally a certain kind of person off air, then there's a higher chance that you'll succeed on radio, or anyone can succeed on radio. It doesn't matter. You can learn on the job, or you can put on a persona that's slightly different from your real personality.
So counter question, because I feel it's important to understand where you're coming from. So when you say a particular kind of personality trait, what do you mean by that?
When you listen to radio in particular, there are certain stereotypes that are assigned to a good radio presenter. Has to be personable, has to come across very friendly, upbeat, positive. When you listen to them, aapka din ban jana chahiye, right? So typically, it might be possible that people who are slightly shy or introverted, or maybe they don't share as much, maybe there's an assumption, there's a stereotype that might not translate as well on air. But then the question is that true? Is it possible someone can be completely opposite in person, but on radio they can be a completely different personality?
It is so interesting that you're asking me this question, because I'm the shining example of an acute introvert.
Really?
I'm the most socially awkward person. I can wing it, and I've been winging it pretty well for all these years. But
Find it hard to believe.
yeah, I know a lot of people tell me that, especially because of the virtue of the job and all that. Okay, and before I answer this question, I also want to kind of expand on what an introvert and what an extrovert is, because a lot of people not mistake, but they have a very basic definition of introvert and extrovert. People who like to go out are extrovert. People who like to stay at home are introverts. No, it doesn't really. I mean, of course, there's much more to that, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who would also know about it. But let me just expand a little bit on that. Introverts are people who feel exhausted when they are surrounded by many people. They feel that their energies are completely exhausted. Their energies dip when they're surrounded by many people, because they don't, in sharp comparison to extroverts, they derive energy from other people. So extroverts feel energized when they're surrounded by people because they're getting energy from other people. Introverts have to recharge themselves in their own sweet time. So it doesn't mean that I don't like people and all that. I love people. I love interacting on one-on-one. I love having deep, meaningful conversations. But if you put me in a party and all that, I would be quite a misfit or uncomfortable. So would that person work on the radio? I mean, I have survived 28 years, so I'm a shining example of the fact that I have worked on the radio. Good, bad, I don't know, but I have survived 28 years on radio. So yeah, you definitely can. And it's also very interesting that people think that great energy works on the radio. आपकी एनर्जी अगर अच्छी होगी रेडियो पे, अगर आप excitedly बात कर रहे हैं तो मेरा मूड बन जाएगा. No, there are a lot of people who might find it very noisy, who might find overexcited, overzealous RJs.
Not real, maybe, not authentic.
Or no, even if they find them real and authentic, but that's not my energy. I'm a shy person, I'm an introverted person. I want somebody to tone down, volume down a little bit. So it's also, see, I understand where it's coming from. I understand people who are kind of flamboyant and out there and grabbing the attention at every party. the world kind of focuses on them because they are seen more, they are heard more. So the focus is largely on them. And nobody really focuses on people who are introverts or, what they want. So we assume that a happy, energetic voice on the radio is going to cut ice with everyone. No, I'm sure the world has as many introverts as extroverts. But we are constantly, as a society, as a world, we are constantly focusing and catering to the needs of people who are largely heard and largely seen, people who are extroverts, which I find very, interesting or kind of disturbing also sometimes. Coming back to the question, is there a certain stereotype? Yeah, largely people do have a stereotype in this industry that, you need to have a good voice, you need to be extrovert, you need to be outgoing and all that, and which might work for some people, but not necessarily. Right now, I'm the deputy content director of a radio station, and tomorrow if I have to hire someone, I don't think so I will be picking someone or dropping someone based on whether they are extroverts or introverts. So yeah.
Okay, so that myth has been busted. Anyone can become a radio host. It's not like you have an advantage or it's just a natural talent, right?
Yeah. Shall I give you a personal example?
Please.
I'm thinking whether I should name this person or not. Maybe I should. Why not? So I was working with All India Radio in Delhi, and I was in college at that point in time. And I joined India Today. They were starting, so private radio stations were starting, Radio Mirchi, Radio City, and Radio Today was launching at that point in time, which eventually Radio Today became Red FM. And I joined these guys when the tentative name at that point in time, the working name, title of the radio station was Radio Today. I'm thinking what to say and what not to say. Management changed hands after like 3-4 months. And one of the conditions of me joining, I joined in the month of January, and I had my exams in the month of March or April. My master's, I was doing my master's in English. So management changed, and then there was a new manager who had come. And he didn't think that, I was pretty new. I was also a producer actually in that radio station. The radio station was not launched. We were still in the whole process of launching the radio station. So we were thinking what voices will go on air and all that. And this new manager said that you can't really go for your, exams and all that. I said, no, this was one of the terms and conditions. Also, he thought that I was too shy to be on the radio. He never said it explicitly, but I could tell that he was not very fond of me. I will name him as well. His name was Vernon. Okay, Vernon.
He's
Ibrahim.
watching.
Yeah, he's watching. He knows. Vernon Ibrahim was his name, and he was a cool dude. He was a member of a rock band in Bangalore, I think. He'd done radio, and he was there to like launch Red FM. Anyway, finally, I had to like kind of leave the job because I wanted to write my exams and I wanted to finish my education. And then years passed. I came to Dubai. I worked with Hum FM here for a few years. Then Fever was launching in Delhi, and they got in touch to launch the radio station. They wanted me to do one of their shows. Went back to Delhi, started doing the breakfast show on Fever. And then a controversy happened where RJ Nitin in Red FM, he had said something objectionable on the radio, and he was taken off air for a few days, for a couple of months or whatever. Vernon was heading Red FM at that point in time. He got in touch with me because I think they were looking for a replacement, or they were looking for somebody who could like do the breakfast show for some time. I don't know what they were looking for. So he got in touch with me saying that we would love to interview you. I said, yeah, sure, why not? We met at a cafe. And then he looks at me and he says, you look so familiar.
I didn't remember.
He didn't remember. So I said, yeah, 5 years ago you fired me. And 5 years later, here we are. You want to hire me. And he was so embarrassed. He was like, no, I can't believe. Oh my God, you sound so different on the radio. You were so different in person. So I couldn't, at that point in time, I was 25, 26 at that point in time. And I couldn't even quite understand what he meant. Now, in retrospect, I know exactly what he meant, that, I was such a shy person when I was working with Radio Today, and that's the reason he thought I was not good enough to go on the radio. And like 5 years later, he wants me to now do a show on the radio station he was heading. Anyway, that conversation ended. Then again, I think a couple of months passed, maybe a year passed, and then he was heading Radio 1. And again, they were looking for a radio presenter. And again, they set up a meeting. And then again, he was like, I can't believe that, unanimously on our radio station, we keep coming back to just one name, that we should hire Lokesh. And I was like, Varun, do you remember that you did not, we had a bit of a situation like, well, yeah, like he was also agreeing. And it was so funny. Then I moved to Dubai and I started working with City 1016. And then he sent such a heartfelt message on Facebook, I remember. He said, I need to apologize to you, Lokesh, because I genuinely thought that you would never make it big as a radio presenter. And I wanted to tell you at that point in time, but I never did, that you're wasting your time. You're not going to make it on the radio. You're not going to go far. And here I am looking at your success, that you're doing so well in Dubai and that you've done so well in India as well, and that you've been consistently a good RJ. It just blows my mind. So big of him eventually to come back with an apology. So I feel anyone can be a radio presenter. You don't know what's going to work for who. Today, now, when I am at this situation where I am the deputy content director of a radio station, if I'm hiring young people, if somebody doesn't really work, I would say that, hey, I feel, in my opinion, your energies maybe don't match with the energies of the radio station that I'm hiring you for, but that doesn't mean that you are a bad presenter or you cannot make it. The whole idea is to kind of, and there's always one good or two good quality, or maybe something nice about, some people make it in the industry just by the sheer passion that they have for the medium. They might not have the talent, but they're so passionate about the medium. So just to help young people familiarize with their plus points and make them aware of the fact that if we are not hiring you, not because you are a bad radio presenter or you lack talent or whatever, but make them understand that these are our requirements. And maybe it's not working out right now, but that doesn't mean it's not going to work out for you in the future. I think, yeah, so anyone can be a radio presenter.
Anyone can be a radio presenter. Let's take a follow-up from there. How important is it to create a character when you're on air, or create a certain kind of a persona? And maybe it doesn't have to be completely different from who you are as a person. It doesn't have to be fake. But maybe you take who you are and you just dial it up a bit or amplify it. Thoda or extra, thoda or hatke, thoda or over the top. Because that will make it slightly more engaging, memorable, more compelling to the viewers. Do you think it's important to dial it up when you're on radio? Or no, the best strategy is stay completely authentic to who you are. Off air, on air should be the same person.
Do you want to give me an example of a radio presenter who you think has dialed up a little bit so that I know?
I haven't met them off air, so I have no idea how they are.
But you've interviewed a few of them.
But then that is also on air, right? When you're interviewing them, pretty much anyone can fake it for 2 hours, right? So unfortunately, not in personal capacity. I'm not friends with any of the radio presenters.
But one can tell, right? Can you tell as a listener, can you tell that this person is like kind of unnecessary, or not even unnecessarily, but this person is notching it a little up or notching it a little down?
I had your former co-host RJ Meghna on the show, and I asked her a similar question. And she did say that regardless of how I'm feeling on the day, whether I'm sad or angry, I have to be cognizant of the fact that when people tune in, they're looking for an escape. And especially with a show of, let's say, your nature, when it's in the evening, log kaam ke baad aa rahe, thake aa rahe, gussa aa rahe, and they may be stuck in traffic. There is a case to be made ki while it's right to be authentic to who you are, people are still looking for some form of an escape. So if you are also angry and frustrated and they are also angry and frustrated, somehow those energies might not match. So I can see some merit to that.
Yeah, but so you're saying when people
there might be a need to then maybe hide how I'm feeling. Maybe today, aaj radio mein I'm not in the mood, but still there's a need to maybe create a character that's slightly happier, upbeat, more positive than how I'm actually feeling in person.
So yeah, characters do work. Slightly toned up, hyped up personalities also work. I'll give you an example. See, again, I don't know. I've never met Jeetu Raj in person. He's a very famous name in India. He works in Mumbai. But every time I listen to him, he talks in third person. He doesn't even say, "मैं आपके लिए गाना चलाने वाला हूँ." He says, "Jeetu Raj आपके लिए गाना चलाएगा," and all that. which is, of course, a certain personality he's trying to make on the radio, I feel. And it has worked in his favor. There are other people also, there are other personality people. I'm thinking, there are a few other people also who have kind of, like Fiza Khan, who I used to listen to as a kid, became RJ Simran on Radio City. I think I can because Fiza used to sound very different when she used to do a show on All India Radio. But when she started doing a show on Radio City, I could almost tell that this is an outcome of many marketing and sales meetings where first of all, they changed her name from Fiza to Simran because to cater to the Punjabi crowd of Delhi, which in my personal opinion, I find very juvenile and very silly. But she would sound a little more Punjabi, a little more flamboyant, a little more, and I'm sure people must have told her in meetings that, hey, sound a little more flamboyant, sound a little more Delhi, sound a little more Punjabi.
That's better for engagement.
Yeah. So, and it worked for her.
It works.
It worked for her because she was also a very popular RJ. Personally, if you ask me, I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of Fiza Khan. I'm not a fan of Simran. I'm not a fan of Jeetu Raj. I mean, these are great names to reckon with. These are like really, really legendary people. But I don't enjoy that kind of radio. To come back to the point of where if listeners are having a bad time, I feel listeners are very smart to identify people who are not being real. I think people are very, very smart. Listeners are very, very smart. So if as a listener, if they are having a bad day, and as a radio presenter, if you're having a bad day, and if you admit that you're having a bad day, I think there's a much more sync of energies that, oh, okay, this person is also having a bad day just like me. Oh God, I'm not the only one. I think that will work much better instead of listening to a fake happy voice, because I can tell you're not being real, So yeah, personally, if you ask me, I'm not a big fan of creating characters or I've said this before also. For me, if I'm having a bad day, I will admit that I'm having a bad day on air. But I love the job so much, Shalaj. I genuinely love the job so much that stepping into the studio makes me happy. It just changes my mood. It just lifts my spirit. I don't know. It's like going to the gym. If you're having a bad day, there's a certain dose of like all the right hormones, all the happy hormones, right? I feel there is a hormonal change in my body every time I'm doing a show on the radio.
Yeah, you shared a personal story of when your father passed away as well, and you were forced to be on radio that day.
Exactly. And genuinely, I was weeping. I was crying when I was going to the radio station that I cannot do this. And after that half an hour, I was feeling much, much better. I was genuinely feeling more relaxed. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of creating characters because I think people can tell. Just be yourself. Just genuinely just connect. Don't ever. People will remember. Don't lie on the radio. Don't say things that you don't believe in. People will remember. People can see through you.
I guess the trends are changing. People don't want to listen to a fictional character on radio, but they want to listen to an actual human, like a friend, talk to them maybe. पर मुझे अभी भी याद है जब मैं स्कूल में था, City 1016 पे शाम को एक आरजे आता था, AJ the RJ.
AJ the RJ.
Oh, you remember?
सारे के सारे come
on
हो
जाएंगे. That's it. You know it. And okay, interesting story. So my brother and I obsessed with AJ the RJ. And because ऐसे बात AJ the RJ सारे के सारे come on हो जाएंगे.
So funny.
Right? And I don't think he ever revealed his name. या हम बुद्धू थे तो हमें पता नहीं.
I know who he was.
And उस समय radio station के website were not that well maintained. So there was an aura or a mystery around who AJ the RJ.
Right.
Clearly a fictional character, right? Nobody talks like this in life. And my brother to date, we imitate him all the time, right? अभी भी कोई अगर joke मारे तो AJ the RJ की आवाज़ निकल जाती है. And suspiciously, asked many people who grew up in Dubai, no one knew who AJ the RJ was. RJ Meghna was there. I begged and pleaded, please बता दो AJ the RJ कौन है. She didn't know as well. And मेरे
She didn't know.
She didn't know.
But did she know who? Had she ever heard AJ the RJ? No,
she said no.
Because she wasn't in Dubai around that time.
Yeah, it was long.
I was working with Hum FM at that point in time. So
that's why
I would listen to AJ the RJ.
AJ the RJ. You're one of the few people who's admitted that he exists. वरना धुएं की तरह गायब हो गया था. Nobody knew. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact because of this persona he created, this over-the-top character, he used to crack a lot of lame jokes, that it is imprinted in my mind and my brother's mind as well.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I feel characters don't. Okay, I think maybe I need to explain myself. Characters work. Characters work like crazy. If it is a good character done well, they work like crazy. My problem is I shouldn't be a character myself. Like Lokesh should not be a character. Lokesh should be Lokesh. If Lokesh is feeling bad, he should admit that he's feeling bad. If I'm feeling low, I should admit I shouldn't be a always happy Lokesh because that's unreal. You can't be always happy, right? You can't always be grumpy. You can't always, you're a human being with a set of emotions. You're feeling different emotions every day. Be real. But if you're creating a character, I have a character called Bossum Mossy, right? Have fun with those characters. AJ the RJ was such a fun, iconic character. And I know who did it. You don't want me to tell you?
Do I want to know? I feel like this is a secret that's bothered me. It's kept me up at night for at least 20 years of my life. And I feel like, do I now, like, is the mystery monetizing? Fine. Who is it?
Do you want to take a guess? Okay, I'm not going to tell you, but you want to take a guess who it was? Who it could have been?
I think at that point, up to my memory is also fading, but there were two RJs we used to listen to all the time, RJ Abhijit and RJ Gaurav. And I guess it was one of them.
Who do you think it was?
Is it one of them?
I don't know. Who do you think it was between the two of them? Because these are two names that you've taken.
Abhijit?
I'm not going to say anything.
Why did we go through this exercise?
Because I don't want to say it. Because you said that, you don't want to like kind of bust it, right? You still want to live in the fantasy world of...
Give me half an hour while this is happening. I'll think about whether this is the day my life changes.
If I tell you the story behind AJ the RJ...
Let's go for it. Let's do it.
You really want me to? I don't know. It's not my story. It's the people who created this story. So I don't know whether I should say this or not. But so I don't know whether it's going to be... And...
I think you and I are probably one of the few people who actually care about this story. Let's get it out there. I think the world deserves to know. It's such a Dubai story.
I can tell you it was Gaurav who used to do AJ the RJ.
Mystery solved. I'm going to message my brother.
And he was so funny. As a presenter also, Gaurav was so funny and so intelligent and so witty. He was so good. And then he made this character. I'm not going to get into the details why he made this character and all that. But yeah, he was AJ the RJ.
Mystery solved.
Solved.
I can sleep peacefully after 20 years of my life. AJ the RJ. But yeah, interesting that that character is something that stuck with me. Whereas some other RJs who might have not put on characters, I don't know, but maybe memory is also quite bad. Let's move on to the next obstacle that's standing in the way of me becoming a radio host. You brought up the voice. This is a common belief कि radio में आने के लिए अच्छी आवाज होनी चाहिए. आवाज में एक अच्छा baritone होना चाहिए. Is that true?
I mean, it helps. It helps. I'm listening to your voice. You have such a good radio voice. I'm thinking.
I doubt it.
Hey, is there a problem with you taking compliments?
Chronic problem.
This is the second time I'm complimenting you, and you're like completely dodging it.
No, but what I've noticed is, especially now that I've heard myself speak, so I'm not a fan. And what I've noticed is people underestimate how much impact filtering, effects, bass, all these enhancements, editing makes in your voice. That it can get any voice up to a baseline level.
True.
Yeah.
Why don't you like your voice? What's wrong with that?
कभी हुआ ऐसा when you've watched yourself, listened to yourself. मैं तो हमेशा क्या बोल रहा है? What is it? How does it sound like? Especially when you have a voice like yours. When I started editing this, I'll be like, oh my god.
Really? I'm not a fan of my voice. I mean, and I'm not saying it look kind of like fish for a compliment. I'm very aware that I don't have a very typical traditional radio voice.
What is a typical traditional?
Which is what deep baritone and all that, right? Like Tarun, my
can you like
one of my
imitate
colleagues.
it? I just want to understand.
I don't think so. I can imitate because I don't have that baritone. But like really like City 101. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I can't even do it. But Tarun has like a very very beautiful traditional deep baritone, in his voice. I mean, I keep teasing him. Tu kanda bhi bolega, it will sound so sexy on air. But it helps a deep baritone voice. But what you do with it makes all the difference. If you can't hold a conversation, if you can't make sense, if you can't have coherent conversations on the radio, then how far can a deep baritone voice go? So you need to have substance. You just can't faff on the radio. So if you don't have a deep baritone voice, but you do have something to say, you have a unique take on life, universe, etc., then you can make it. And if you have a deep baritone voice, then it always helps. If you have substance, but if you do not, then in my opinion, I don't think so. It will take you too far.
If your voice is not at that level, can you like train your voice to get to that level? Are there any exercises people can do?
Yeah, of course there are exercises. There are
Aap karte ho?
vocal
Vocal
exercises.
exercises?
No, nothing.
Nothing?
I have never exercised my voice. No, I haven't.
You didn't feel the need to do it.
Yeah, my focus largely is on what I'm saying on the radio, So my focus is largely looking for interesting stories, thinking about how you can treat those stories on the radio. What's your take? How you're going to value add. What's the joke you can crack around it? What's the history you can give about a certain piece of topics? That's my focus. My voice to train I don't focus much on. Maybe I should, but I don't. I haven't never done
You
it.
already have a great voice. How do you prep then for a show? How much time do you spend before a show? How do you look up stories? How do you structure? Do you practice? Do you visualize? What's your routine?
This is what I teach, by the way, in a radio class. So I'm really enjoying this conversation.
This is a masterclass.
This is like, I don't want to say it myself, but there are different formats of radio in the world, okay? And it works very differently for different radio stations. Okay, so if you're working, let's say, for a sports radio station, for a Bollywood radio station, for a talk radio station, for a complete hardcore music station, preparation would differ from each radio. Like every radio station will have like a different set of working hours in preparation. Typically, for a Bollywood radio station, you're always looking for, of course, pop culture, stories, Bollywood, music, movies, now social media and all that. You're also looking for sports stories. You're also looking for local stories, and you're also looking for international stories, which are kind of trending and catching attention. Now, looking for stories is one part of doing a radio show. What you do with the radio story makes all the difference. Let's say, give me a story, give me a local story. The biggest new mall is coming up in Dubai, for example. Right now, Shalaj, while he was having his breakfast in the morning, he read that story in the newspaper. Now, when he's driving to work, and if Lokesh is saying the same story on the radio, what is the value add I'm bringing from my end? You've already read that in the newspaper. You've already got that on the app notification that the biggest mall is, being constructed in Dubai. Now, what I do with that story makes all the difference. Do I crack a joke around it? Do I give you the history of malls in Dubai? Do I tell you about the first mall that ever came up in the world? That's the value add. So your prep is, of course, looking for stories. Then your prep is also what is the value add, depending on your personality. You want to crack a joke, you want to give history, you want to do some trivia, you want to link it with a song, whatever connection you want to make, whatever value add that you want to make, you do that. And then you have to do all of this within a minute, maximum a minute and a half, because there's time constraint. And that even in that 1.5 minutes, there is a structure, which 95%, in my opinion, 95% of the people, even in the industry, even Archies around the world, when I listen to them, they do not know about the science behind the structure. Okay, there's a proper structure in creating that 1 minute or 1.5 minute. What is the structure? It's the streamlined thinking. Okay, there's no set rule to it, but it always helps. So what do you mean by streamlined thinking? You have to think in a linear fashion. You have to think in the right structure. I'll give you an example. I'm doing a contest, okay? I say, send me a message call me up on ABC number 123456 and tell me Sunny Deol's first movie, and you have a chance to win yourself 10,000 dirhams. I did not grab your attention with call me on this number. You're listening to me passively in the car, okay? You're driving, somebody's saying, call me on this number, why I shouldn't call her. Sunny Deol's, okay, then I got your attention a little bit. I know Sunny Deol's first movie. And then I got your attention fully when you said you can win 10,000 dirhams by just telling me the name of Sunny Deol's first movie. And then I have your full attention. Okay, and now you're like, what is the call to action? What number do I call?
Number
bhul gaya. And that is a horrible mistake to make on the radio. That's what I'm saying, structuring. So you need to grab the attention. 10,000 dirhams will come first. Okay, followed by the question, do you want to win yourself 10,000 dirhams? Yes. Do you know Sunny Deol's movies? Yes, I know. Call to action, give me a call on this number. So this is what the prep requires. And trust me, people who have been doing radio for the longest time don't know about this. This is something that very few people know. And also, even if they know, people don't follow this rule. People just crack open the mic and just like rattle off. You need to really focus and concentrate and understand that 1 minute that you're going to be on air, you have to be very precise and very, very scientific and very structured to be able to grab the attention of the listener. Otherwise you lose them.
Do you write it down as a script, or this is all in your mind?
I used to. Now it's second nature. So, but I still have bullet points. Like, I still know in my mind how I'm going to start, what's the mid part and what's the end. It's very important to have the start in mind, have the mid part and the end. I used to there's a term called web of thoughts, right? And most of the RJs suffer from that. They get lost in their own web of thoughts and they do not know how to get out of it. Till date, when I listen to so many radio stations around the world, in Dubai as well, I know you're struggling to end the link. I know you're struggling to get out of it because you're not thought through what you're going to say on air. You knew how you're going to start. You came out of Sheila Ki Jawani. You said Sunidhi Chauhan on the vocals. This one, Katrina Kaif worked 5 days, to get into the da-da-da, Farah Khan did this, da-da-da. You have thought through the first 5 sentences. Uske baad aapko pata hi nahi ki aapne kahan jana hai. You need to think of the end of the link as well so that you can come out of it smoothly and not get entangled and not rattle off for like 6 minutes on air and waste your time and waste my time as well.
Such an incredible insight. I've never heard this before. How does the dynamic change if you have a co-host as well? Do you have to then run your script with them and make it together?
Yeah, dude, that's a challenge. That's a huge challenge. You got to be on the same page. They need to understand. You need to understand. A lot of times your co-jocks, they don't know that this is the format. This should be the format. So yeah, the dynamics change drastically. You really have to work your way through it, especially when you're doing a co-hosted show.
Is it like finding a partner where compatibility really matters, or can you engineer chemistry and compatibility with any person on air, or you have to naturally click with the person to actually host with them?
I think all of that is true. There's no hard and fast rule. I don't think so. It's just one way or the other. With different people, it works very, very differently. But I think what is most important in a co-hosted show is that you need to have the right intent. Mariam, who's my co-host right now currently, we started doing the show together 3 years ago. And she's fairly new in the industry. And she was just generally asking me, she's like, tell me something. You've been doing it for like last 25 years. And I've been hardly for like 3 years and all that. Tell me something, what's going to work, I said, Mariam, I'm not going to tell you anything because I don't really want to like kind of, influence your thoughts or influence your performance. But the only thing that I will tell you is that people will carry our relationship. People should focus on our relationship. And thankfully, Mariam and I had like great friendship off air as well. But we were not the best friends. Before doing the show, we were not the best of friends because she would come in the evening and we hardly cross paths and all that. But we hardly crossed paths, but I was very fond of her and she was fond of me, but we were not the best of friends. So I told her, listen, people are going to take away our relationship. People are not going to remember whether Lokesh had the last laugh or whether Mariam had the last laugh or whether Lokesh had 5 more punches or Mariam had 5 more punches. People will remember if I say, hey, Mariam was getting late and she got stuck on Sheikh Zayed Road because she had a flat tire, and she called me up and I picked her up from Sheikh Zayed Road and then I drove her to the office. People will remember this sweet relationship or bitter relationship, or that we hate each other. So whatever our natural relationship is, that should be the focus, not you, not I. So I think that is the most important thing in a co-hosted. You can of course create chemistry. You can always work it out. You can always have communication. You can always say what's your personality on the show, in the sense that what are you bringing on the show? Are you the funny person? Are you the serious person? Are you the nerd person? You can discuss all those things, but you need to know that the listeners will focus on the relationship you have, not on who had the last laugh and who made the last punch. It's so important. And I see RJs around the world dying to have the last laugh, to say the last line, to have, to overdo the other person, to overshadow the other person. And that's very upsetting, actually. There are times when, when Mariam and I are doing a show, and if she has had a great punch, and we all end up laughing, and I'm sitting, I sit at the console, she doesn't sit at the console. And there's this next button, which means it plays the next element. And because I'm in charge of the console, so I am most tempted to say something and then get into the next element.
Get the last bite in.
Yeah. But I'm so conscious, and I've trained myself so much that if Mariam has had a great laugh moment, has had a great moment, which is funny and we both are laughing, and even if I have a funnier moment, and even if I have a funnier line, shut up and just press the next moment. And Mariam too. So when I'm cracking something, she will be like on the verge of saying something, and she will not, and she'll do this. She'll signal me, press the next button because you've had a great moment. So that's the amazing chemistry we both have. I'm having goose flashes. I'm talking about Mariam. I love you.
Yeah, there's so much method to the madness that no one focuses on. I've never thought about this, that how much you've structured it, whether who gets the last laugh in, and whether you've cut yourself off. It's great to know there's so much science and sequence behind it.
It is very scientific, man. Radio is really, really, really scientific.
I want to also dive into the business of radio. Let's assume मुझे radio host बनना है, पर मुझे एक radio station भी खोलना है अपना, या radio show खोलना है. And from a financing perspective, how does a radio show make money?
What do you think? How do we make money?
You tell me. No, so basic.
Take a guess.
Run ads. But what I really want to dive into is, what are the metrics you're tracking? What are the most important metrics? And then when you're looking for ads or sponsors, what rates they typically pay for, how much did it cost, how did it scale according to your viewership? Those are the numbers you're trying to get into.
So ads is, of course, the basic mode of revenue on any radio station. The rule is to play 15 to 20 minutes, not 15, 10 to 15 minutes of 10 to 15 minutes of radio space in an hour on any radio station. Usually the fight is between the sales and the programming. We're pushing, no, we need to play more songs, and they're like, no, we have more ads and all that. So that's how it works. Of course, if you're sponsoring on drive shows, on the breakfast show and on the evening show, then of course the rates are much higher because most of the people are driving either to work or they're coming back. So those are better, bigger slots, which are more expensive than the other slots on the radio.
How much does it cost in comparison?
Yeah, I don't know. It again differs from...
Just estimates, yes. मुझे अपना शो कार्ड निकालना है तो कितना...
Yeah, मुझे serious, honestly मेरे को नहीं पता है. But I think it ranges between, I don't know, 500... I don't know.
That's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, you sell a certain package and all that, right?
It's not just a one-off ad.
Yeah. So for example, depending on the budget of the client, if you have like some 30,000 dirhams to spare or 50,000 dirhams to spare, then we'll tell you what slot will work. And okay, ads is just one of the modes of revenue. The other things are that you run a contest on the show, or you have a live read. There's something what you call an RJ mention or a live read, which means that the copy points of your brand or whatever you want to sell will go in the voice of the RJ. So on my show, I'll say XYZ brand, they've come up with sale, go shop online and all that. So that's another way of. So when a client comes, we actually tell them that, right now you need awareness. So maybe run ads. I remember it was Kailash Parbat or one of the restaurants. They came on board and we were running advertisements for them. And we told them to run it on the weekend because people go dining on the weekend. And they literally came back. I think it was Kailash Parbat, if I'm not mistaken, or some other brand. And they came back after 2 months saying that they've been flooded.
Oh.
And there were people who had gone to their restaurant and said, we were just driving around deciding where to. There's a full debate happening in the car within the family members.
Always happens.
Right? Where to eat, whatever. The ad played on the radio. We heard it on City 1016. Unanimously, we decided, okay, let's go to this restaurant, Kailash Parbat, and So why am I bringing this? Because there's also a way of there's a proper strategy that goes into playing the commercials for different brands on what time slot will suit your brand and things like that. So
is there a hierarchy? Let's say if a host read ad versus you just played an advert versus competition, is there one that's better than the other, more engaging?
Like as far as Archies are concerned?
Yeah, like do you charge higher for, let's say, if you're reading the ad out as compared to
Yeah. Of course. I think there is definitely a difference between an RJ reading your ad or just a commercial playing on the radio.
Because you're less likely to switch, right? Otherwise, I'd flip a station agar ad chal raha hai. Insurance market or ek ad aaya, Alfred ka ad aaya, I've switched out.
Mat bol yaar, big spenders on City.
I'm putting the name out so they sponsor, right? This is a product placement.
Nobody's switching City 1016 when insurancemarket.a is playing.
No, that's when I listen very actively.
See, the fact that you remember that.
Yeah.
Clearly they're doing a good job, I feel. Insurance market.
All forms of publicity are great. Okay, so what about the metrics? What are you tracking? Is there time spent listening? Or are there any other metrics that you're tracking?
Yeah, so there are two things basically. One is TSL, which is time spent listening. And there's other thing called QUMs. So every radio station has these two parameters. QUMs is the size of the population that tunes into your radio station. Okay, so let's say City 1016 has 3.5 million people listening to the station on a daily basis. So that's my QUM. Okay, and Shalaj.
What's the word you're using?
QUM, CUME, QUMs.
Oh, CUME.
Yeah,
QUM. What does it mean?
I think it's the size.
It's an acronym? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not an acronym.
Okay,
it means the size of the people listening.
Gotcha. Sorry. So 3.5 million are listening.
Yeah. And the other one is TSL, time spent listening. So Shalaj, when he sat in the car, he tuned into City 1016 and he heard Lokesh's show for 40 minutes. And that's the average time spent listening to our station by these listeners.
You have a unique identifier for me?
So there's a proper research that happens
okay.
Across listeners. And then these are the numbers that pop up. So if you're doing well in QUMs and if you're doing well in TSL, which is time spent listening, then you take those data, those details to your clients and you say that, hey, this is what we look like and this is what makes us the most listened to radio station in the region. So yeah.
Is there a tussle? Because if you play less ads, I might spend more time listening. But then if I'm spending more time listening, then you want to play more ads, make more money.
Yeah, of course. It's a full, it's a, what do you call that? Catch-22 situation. No, catch-22 situation. Ki boss, matlab, if you're playing more songs, then you're more popular, then more clients will come on board, then more ads they would like to play and all that. So yeah.
So that's always a problem.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have though. If you're having clients coming to you because you're popular, it's a good problem to have. Actually, City has tackled that. I'm not saying it just because I work for the radio station. Because by the virtue of being a very popular radio station, we do get a lot of people, advertisers and clients. So we started doing something called 40 minutes non-stop music, okay, which is playing 5 times in a day. So those 5 hours, you get 40 minutes non-stop, uninterrupted music, So we do cater to our listeners and then we do cater to our advertisers.
Is that what maximizes TSL? Have you ranked what makes people stay? Is it music? Is it people talking? Obviously, ads, I guess, is lower.
It's a bunch of things, actually.
Okay. Competitions or something like that. Calls.
It's also how well you tease. There's something what you call tease. So, okay, I'll come to the tease part a little later. So, so TSL is, if you're playing 40 minutes non-stop music, that's it, I've had you. Logged in for next 40 minutes, you're not going to change stations because there are no ads playing, right? Secondly, of course, I am a radio presenter, and I said, you have a chance to win yourself 10,000 dirhams. We're going to play ABC game. You have to recognize this famous voice. So then as a listener, even if you're not sending a message, you're going to tune in for the next 15 minutes. You're going to listen through all the ads and all that just to know who is that lucky bugger who's walking away with 10,000 dirhams. And the third thing is active listening and passive listening. Okay, so most of the content that we are creating on the radio, I'm actually giving you a lot of insights, by the way. This is
industry secrets.
No, these are not secrets. This is just even if I say so myself, this is knowledge that not many people share on a podcast.
I think this is fascinating though. And what do you know? Maybe next week 102.8 Mera FM shuru ho jayega with all of these.
Inshallah, man. So be it.
With the best mentor possible.
Absolutely, man. I hope you do. I hope to hear you on the radio soon, man. You really have a great voice. And with the kind of questions that you come up with, you definitely have a great mind as well. And you're feeling all shy and all
I'm
awkward.
trying to deflect. bouncer deflecting. Back to the time spent listening. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were talking about music. You were saying how do you get time spent listening? So music is one of them. Who's going to walk away with 10,000 dirhams? That's another one.
The tease. Yeah.
That brings me to active listening and passive listening. So active listening is somebody who is listening to everything that I'm saying and then sending messages and participating and tell me your first monsoon in Dubai story. I'm going to send that message. Those are active listeners. Those are loyal listeners, right? I'm giving you Global Village passes. They will send messages.
What's the percentage? Is it a lot of people?
That's a tiny population.
Tiny population.
Yeah. Your loyal listeners are in hundreds, right? And they are dedicated listeners, but they are fewer than your passive listeners. Okay. So I know that I've got them covered. I asked them, your first day in Dubai, how many pictures do you have in your folder? What's the last story that you put in your Instagram? They always love to share because they feel connected with the voice they're listening to. They feel connected to the radio station.
वो same नाम आपको हमेशा you're having a conversation with them.
Which is also nice because you're building a community, right? And there are times when nobody has sent a message. Then you have a bank of people you can call back and say, hey, listen, Anupam, you were not listening today. What happened? Yeah, I was busy. Okay, listen, I'm doing a fun discussion. Can I take you on air? And they'll happily come on air and share their... Yeah. So those are active listeners. The focus is also on passive listening. Okay, how do I get Shalaj to make... He's not going to send me a message. He's a rich bugger. He is driving a fancy car, living in a fancy house. He doesn't care about 10,000 dirhams. But because he's a human being, he's curious to know what question Lokesh is going to ask, how tricky it's going to be, how bad it's going to be, how difficult it's going to be, how funny it's going to be. So that's passive listening. Also, forget about anything. If I ask you a question that teases your brain, that's passive listening, right? I say, Ranveer Singh की first movie के director, और रणवीर सिंह की first movie की जो heroine थी, उनकी first movie के director का नाम. Send me a message on this. Now, I have asked a question and you're suddenly thinking, Ranveer Singh ki first movie, Band Baja Bharat. You're not going to send me a message. But you're thinking, and I have engaged you passively. Okay? So then they would spend next 15 minutes listening through the ads, their not favorite song and all that. They would want to come back to know what the answer is. So that's passive listening. And the last bit, the tease bit that I was talking about a little earlier, is how well you tease. You're going into a break. Coming up, something as simple as coming up next is this Archies Singh song. You play the hook of the song, and that's your favorite song, dude. So you're going to listen to the next 10 minutes of the ads because you want to listen to the Archies song. Or this famous song, I'm not going to reveal what the song is. It's a famous Shah Rukh Khan song sung by Archies Singh along with Kajol, shot in Bulgaria with a massive dupatta flying in the air. Do you have any idea what song I'm talking about coming up in next 5 minutes? You're going to literally spend 5 minutes off the radio saying, what song is he talking about?
Also, you structure the question in such a way it makes me feel like ज़्यादा लोग को पता नहीं होगा because you've added these so many twists and turns. You get this feeling, oh, शायद I've got this first, so let me try and message.
Yeah,
right?
or you don't know the answer. 7% of the people in Dubai think that this is something that they would never do during summers. What is it? But I'm going to tell you after the break. So there are like multiple ways by which you can tease as well. You can tease with music, you can tease with questions, you can tease with questions, contests, so many other things.
You've been in radio for close to 20 years in Dubai itself. Has it changed? And if it has, what was it like before? And what is it evolving into?
Oh, definitely. Changed drastically. When I joined City 1016, it was very unidimensional. Radio was very unidimensional in the sense that it was only radio. Focus was only radio. Like you remember AJ the RJ, right? You don't remember what their Instagram handle was or what they did on Instagram or Facebook because it never existed. The only platform that existed was radio. And then again, I can safely say this, and again, not because I work for the radio station. City 1016, we were the first radio station to kind of take our on-air presence to online presence. We were the first ones to start making all videos and all song parodies. You know, we used to shoot so much. I remember credit where due is, where it's due. Rohit Jayakaran used to be one of my colleagues, by the way. I don't know if you ever heard him. He used to do the evening show, by the way. Tia and Rohit used to do the show.
Yeah.
And Rohit was a complete tech geek. He was, you know, he used to like create all content and all that. He used to help us shoot videos and edit those videos. So we were the first ones to like start our own YouTube channel, put it on Facebook and all that. I still remember we did a trip it was a back to school event, and we had gone to Indian high school, and we'd spent a day there when the school just reopened after summer vacations. We clicked a lot of pictures, and there were no videos at that point in time. We posted somewhere about 50, 60 pictures in an album on Facebook. And Shalaj, you will not believe, it blew up. It went viral when viral was not even a term that we used to use. There were all kinds of IHS students in New Zealand, Australia, America, who were resharing that particular album, who were commenting, saying, and there was a particular junior staff from IHS, Indian High School, I think somebody in the help department, and he was a very famous guy, and everyone was commenting on his picture, ki Chandu Bhaiya, or whatever his name was, ki, you know, we have such great memories and all that. People were commenting, hamara canteen, hamara samosa, ye wo. So radio has come a long way from just being on radio to online presence to Facebook to YouTube, and now it's so big on Instagram and everything. Changed drastically, man.
What do you think it's going to look like in 10 or 15 years from now?
I'm curious. I'm as curious a spectator as anyone is. I think podcast is picking up. So I think long format that people can choose, not when it is shoved down your, like, you know, radio is like, I am going to come at this time. Would you come and join me? So then it kind of puts people off. But if people can choose the time to listen to their favorite piece of conversation, so I think radio is eventually going to, like, you know, go in the podcast space, where a radio presenter is not just doing a 4-hour radio show, but also creating some interesting content on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, creating a 1-hour conversation, engaging conversation, what they stand for and all that. I think it's going to.
It's interesting, right? TV has already transitioned into that space where it's become more of an OTT. Now, in hindsight, feels laughable कि हम लोग पूरी जिंदगी प्लान करते हैं कि 7 बजे क्योंकि सासवी का बाबूजी का एपिसोड आएगा, या तो घर वापस आना है या घर के उसके बाद ही निकलेंगे. Right?
I'm judging. You used to watch.
Why not? Actually, I was more of a कहानी घर का की. I don't want to define my rivalries, but you know, life was built around कि ये एपिसोड तो उसी समय आने वाला है, can't miss it.
Correct.
And now OTT platforms, I can just pick up where I left from. With radio, when I thought about this question, it was interesting because I do feel like the live medium adds a certain quality. When I'm tuning in the evening and I'm driving and you're talking about the weather or the traffic on Sheikh Zayed Road, it creates this shared experience of, let's call it the now, which when, let's say, if I tune up a podcast, आपने सुबह भी record किया हो या कल भी record किया है, doesn't create that same sense of connection because we are viewing the world in the same way. Right?
Absolutely, 100% agree. And to build on that, you know, somebody asked me a similar question saying that in this world of personal playlists and all that, how is radio relevant? I was like, the fact that you're driving and you don't know what the next song is going to be. And if it happens to be your favorite song from your childhood that triggers so many memories, happy memories and all that, the joy of somebody surprising you with a song is far more beautiful than going through a predictable personal playlist. You know that this song is going to come after this song and this song is going to come after this song. But just be surprised on radio by a song that's picked up by someone you don't know is so adventurous and so much fun. So yeah.
So much we could keep talking about. I'm going to start wrapping up. Let's move into some closing
I
questions.
am having such a good time. Can I just say this is one of the... No, yeah, sure. My show begins at 5, so we still have 3 hours. I'm happy to stay here.
We can skip that.
आप अपनी बात करो. Are you ready to spend 3 hours asking questions?
This is an honor and a privilege for me. I could do this 24 hours. This is what I do for a living.
No, but I'm going to say it again. I know that's making you feel awkward and all that.
Reflect the bouncer.
But genuinely, this has been one of the best podcasts that I've ever been, because these are thought through questions. You're talking about radio. You're not asking me run of the mill questions. So I'm happy that we did this.
Moving on quickly. Let's move into some closing questions. I do appreciate your comments. And
let's try this. Say thank you. Say that?
Oh, thank you so much. Of course. 100%. Thank you so much for all the kind words. But I must say...
I'm yanking your chain, you know that, right?
No, I must say it's more of a mirroring effect, right? So if the guest is that interesting and their work and their life is so interesting, the questions naturally follow. It's not that hard to ask questions. It's the knowledge that you provide that actually amplifies the value of the questions.
Thank you.
I always feel that.
Thank you.
Let's start wrapping up. What are some books, movies, role models that have strongly inspired you in your life?
यार ये क्वेश्चन मेरे को नहीं समझ में आता कैसे आंसर करूं मैं. Books, movies and role models.
Movies will be a tough one. You're a film critic also. So how do you pick?
Actually movies is the simplest
Easy.
one. Yeah.
So we'll start with that.
Movies that I've liked.
Movies that inspired you, maybe top favorites.
Inspire.
Yeah, life-changing movie.
यार inspire तो मेरे को नहीं पता. I'm going to start with, have you watched A Death in the Gunge?
Yeah, I really like that movie. Konkana Sen Sharma.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite films. I think there is a Shuttu, which was Vikrant Massi's character in the movie. There's a bit of Shuttu in all of us. And I think the way that movie spoke about mental health, how subtle and how indirect and how yet so effective it was. It is a movie that every family should watch together, because there's one Shuttu in every family. Everyone in every family is a bit of a Shuttu. And I think everyone should watch it and should understand how to nurture that Shuttu in the family. Almost feel emotional talking about this. So that's one movie. I'm so fascinated by Before Sunset, Before Sunrise.
The trilogy.
Before Midnight trilogy. Oh my God, that movie, that trilogy has blown my mind. The way it's shot, the whole idea of taking two actors and making a trilogy that spans over 10, 15 years or whatever, and shooting in real time. Wait for 5 years and let the actors grow so that there's no makeup required. If they were young teenagers when they met in 1994, 5 years later, where they are as actors and then as characters. It's so... you know this, right?
Of course. In fact, Before Sunset's ending is, I think, one of the greatest teasers or endings in any movie.
When she sings that song.
When she sings the song and ends, you got to catch that flight.
Yeah.
And nobody knows
whether he's going to catch that flight or not.
I think it's
so. All those people who don't know, quick, like a recap. It's a trilogy basically, which was shot over a span of like 10 years. The actors grew as the characters in the movie grew. It's actually about a boy and a girl played by Ethan Hawke and Julia Delphi. It's about a movie about these two people who meet on a train, and then they promise that they're going to meet after 6 months. And then what happens, nobody knows. That gets sorted in the second, which is Before Sunrise. And then One of them.
Before
and,
sunrise, before sunset, before midnight.
one of them, yeah.
ऐसा कुछ, हाँ.
And then the third final trilogy is whether they are married or not. And if they are, then do they
No
have...
spoilers.
No spoilers, yeah. We don't know whether they're married or not. But how their life and how their relationship changes. Of course, that plus at the same time, the kind of conversations that they are having, it's like literally, I felt like a fly on the wall, eavesdropping to such riveting conversations on world politics and environment and relationships and, focus on work, where they focus on family. Beautiful, beautiful scenes, beautifully written, beautifully enacted. So yeah, those are the movies that I...
Books, role models?
Yeah, role models नहीं कहूँगा मैं, but I enjoyed reading a lot of classics. Moby Dick, Wuthering Heights. I've been a literature student, so these are the books that I've enjoyed reading. Salman Rushdie's
Midnight Children?
no, Haroon and Stories.
The Sea of Stories. Yeah.
Haroon and Sea of Stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Great
one of my
book.
favorite books. Yeah, it's so sad that I've stopped reading. I used to read, if not a lot, but I used to at least finish 4-5 books in a year. अभी तो कुछ भी नहीं पढ़ा, अभी तो बस Instagram captions ही पढ़ रहे होते हैं हम लोग. Chimamanda, what's her second name? I always forget her second name. She's a feminist author from Africa, and she has written a couple of books. And I recently finished The Purple Hibiscus, which was gifted by my best friend Neelu. And it is such a beautiful book. It's almost like her life story as a kid, Chimamanda's life story, and her relationship with her parents, especially with her father. And such a subtle commentary on how patriarchy kind of controls not only a man's life as a protector and a provider, but also controls the lives of his loved ones, his family. It is such a beautiful, subtle insight into, and very, very relatable. I mean, it's a story told in Africa, but it resonates with my Indian sensibilities so much. So, The Purple Hibiscus, yeah.
Lots of good recommendations. Before we move into the last two questions, I would love it if you can tell me, "ये क्या बनाया है मैंने Lego से? What does it look like?"
This could pass off as a ship.
Pass off.
I'm seeing a little bit of reindeer also. That's my imaginative mind working. Yeah, this is a ship basically, right?
Hybrid of a ship and a reindeer. Exactly what I was going for. You got it. 10,000 dirhams. आपके
किधर
लिए.
है? I have been giving them away for the last 28 years. Nobody has given me 10,000 dirhams.
Nobody's thought of this, right? You are not able to participate in these competitions that you are hosting. कभी नहीं-
But this is a shape, right?
It could be anything
No, you say.
want it to be.
What were you?
Who knows? We will never know. Last two questions. What would you like your legacy to be? How do you want to be remembered?
Hey, this is such a... No legacy, man. What legacy and all that? This is such a pompous question. My legacy and all that.
How do you want to be remembered when people think of
No,
Lokesh?
nobody
how do you-
remembers.
I'm sure people.
It is such a pompous. It is such a look at me. I have built a legacy. Nobody will remember.
No, but you are not saying it. No, I'm asking you.
No,
so
I,
this is
no,
in
I don't even
response-
think of this.
Achha.
It's no.
No grander sense of this is what I'm doing so that people maybe remember. the
No,
work
you know,
I've
you're not doing it because you want people to remember you. I mean, it's nice. You can hope that you're going to make some difference. That Sanjeev, who was about to commit suicide, thought otherwise by listening to your show, or somebody got a job on the radio because I took them on air and literally asked them to pitch themselves to my listeners, and listeners react. These things have happened. But you're not doing it because, hey, people will remember me and all that. You're doing it because, why not? So no, I don't. I think it's a very...
I will answer this for you. One day, a friend of your father, I think, asked your father कि आपके दोनों बेटे करते क्या है? And your father said, एक बेटा engineer है, दूसरा बेटा अभी पढ़ाई कर रहा है writing में. And this friend said, it's better he switches professions now because आगे जाके job नहीं मिलेगी, won't pay the bills. And your father replied, at least he'll be happy.
He'll be happy, yeah.
I can say with certainty this decision you made in your life, it didn't just make you happy, it made a lot of people in Dubai happy. The butterfly effect of this one decision. I'm very happy you got intimidated by Cyrus Brocha at the MTV auditions and you gave up on that dream and came to Dubai to become a radio host, because the amount of joy and happiness you have spread and continue to spread, I think.
Thank you, man.
You can't quantify that. It's already a rich legacy. I can answer that for you.
Thank you.
Final question. What easy question, eh? What is the meaning of life? RJ Lokesh?
I don't know, man. I think you said it so beautifully. Just be happy, man. I think that's pretty much the meaning of life, right?
Be happy. I can always get behind that meaning.
Also, I don't know. Meaning of life. I don't know. No. For me, what life means. Yeah, I think just evolve, be a better human being. That's it. Call out your bull beep. Constantly keep calling your bullshit out, you know. Keep. I'll give you an example. I was watching Stolen. I don't know if you watched that movie or not. It's on Amazon Prime. And it just made me realize that what a biased human being I am, what a horrible human being I am, you know. And I didn't realize almost like after I'd finished the movie. So the movie is about a tribal woman who has lost her baby. And then there are these two urban guys who are also at the railway station at the same time when she lost her baby, okay? And then the police comes and all that, and these guys are accused that they stole the baby. One of the brothers is a witness, so the police says that you have to be with us and all that. And this is like night, this is like middle of the night, 1 a.m. or whatever. And these two brothers have to go to attend a family function. Okay, their mother is getting married. These grown-up people, their mother is, I think she's getting married for the second time or whatever. And the tribal woman has lost her baby. And now there's a class divide, of course, right? The tribal woman and these two urban guys. And subconsciously, I'm like, I hope these guys, make it to their mother's wedding. I hope they're being wrongly accused in this case. I hope they escape. And I was like, wow, you're not even sparing a thought for a tribal woman who has lost her baby. Your mind is constantly diverting towards. It's it's class divided. I'm being a classist, by rooting for these two because they look like me, they talk like me, they are my whatever social strata, and in case tribal women, that's their regular story, right? They keep losing their kids and babies all the time, right? And I was like, wow, what a horrible human being you are. So life is to kind of call your bullshit out and just evolve and be better as a human being,
I think that's great self-awareness. Call your bullshit out can be a good t-shirt slogan.
Right?
Merchandise banana, zarur, log kharidenge. So if people want to connect with you, if they want to find out more about you, what is the best way to find you or your work?
मैं बहुत ही shallow होने वाला हूँ. I'm going to plug my Instagram handle right now. कर लो follow मुझे. बहुत अच्छा content बना रहा हूँ मैं. एकदम बिल्कुल honest. So yeah, connect me on Instagram, Lokesh Dharmani. I'm a Sindhi. So Lokesh Dharmani is my handle. Catch me on the radio, City 1016, every day, 5 p.m. with my absolute sweetheart, Mariam. We do Drive Master Go-Go. And I also host Loki's Bollywood Quiz Night. This happens every Thursday. It's a fun 2-hour session with all the Bollywood buffs in town. This happens at Indy 16 at City Max Hotel in Business Bay at 8:30 on Thursdays. So come down, yeah. I give lots of prizes. We play lots of games. We have a lot of fun. Good food, good music. So yeah, good fun.
Always fun when you're around. Lots of places to find you. Sir, thank you so much for such a fantastic conversation.
Likewise, the pleasure literally is all mine. And I know that I've embarrassed you a lot, so I'm not going to say it again. But I really genuinely had such a good time talking to you, man.